welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. I'm Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder.
And we are going to talk about some cool, get your blood boiling type of stuff today. But first, we have our review of the week.
Yes, let's look at the reviews.
Usually I do the review of the week, but I'm having some kind of mental issue with my computer. So Abby's going to do our review.
She can't see them. So I'm going to do it.
See them.
Yeah. So this one comes from Mama 2 Sunshine.
Ooh.
We haven't read this one, have we?
I don't think
we have.
So. I would remember that name, I think.
Yeah. She says, I am so grateful for this podcast. I am a month into studying to become an IBCLC.
Woo,
yay!
Girl. You got a little bit of ways to go, but you'll do fine.
As a working mama to a breastfed 17-month-old is daunting to say the least. I'm able to listen while at my 9 to 5 to keep me focused on my goal. Thank you, mamas.
So, I know. Thank you so much for leaving a review for us. That makes me want to mention too that, somebody had recently reached out to me about wanting to become like a breastfeeding advocate or something. And I just, sent her the link to the podcast because we have an episode on this. Yeah. So if you are like a brand new listener and maybe haven't looked back to see all our different episodes from the last year, almost year and a half, then definitely if you're looking to become an advocate or an IBCLC or get lactation training, listen to that episode because it can kind of help to, give you some direction.
That's a really popular episode.
Yeah,
people really like that one.
It is because people really. It's one of those things where it's like, gosh, I would love to do something, but because I loved breastfeeding and I struggled and I want to help other mamas, but I don't know where to start. So that's a good place to. Yeah, that's absolutely.
And there's a lot of different things you can do.
Yeah. So it's really cool. So definitely listen to it if it's something you're interested in. And we'd love to hear about your journey, Sunshine. I can't remember what the name was on the thing, but
Mama 2 Sunshine.
Mama 2 Sunshine. Tell us all about your IBCLC journey, and good luck to you.
Oh, yeah. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. And we are going to talk about a situation that happened here in my town It was last week, but, 2 weeks ago, but then carried on. I don't know. It was carrying on for about a week. So, and some of you might have seen this because it went viral.
Yeah, because it was going around. It was going around the internet. Yeah, totally going around. It was crazy.
It went viral, and it was a situation. It's right here. I live in Rochester, New York, and Abby's in Chicago. I'm in Rochester, New York, and honest to God, I never thought. You read about this stuff all the time. You see these things going around the internet, and it's like, oh my gosh, how horrible, blah, blah, blah. But I never had it happen like this, so close to.
I know you don't think the boneheads are there. You don't think the boneheads are like that close to you.
I know, it's crazy.
You're like, oh my God, that happens other places, but oh my God, they're around. They're just everywhere. Around in the wood.
So this mama,
what happened?
So it was a dentist's office. So first of all, the fact that it was a medical office is the first, thing that we all were up in arms about. But it's a dentist office. She goes there. It's a clinic, actually. She goes there on a Saturday with her 5-year-old. Her 5-year-old is the one that's getting the dental work done, or the exam, or whatever was happening. And she also had a 9-month-old. And the 9-month-old started to get fussy. And so she went to go latch the baby. And, 9 months old, she's an experienced breastfeeding mother. She's being, discreet. Not that she has to be. And let me say that in New York State, we really have very liberal breastfeeding laws. Like, you can breastfeed anywhere. It doesn't even if it's a privately owned play, it doesn't matter. Anywhere you are with the baby, you can breastfeed. And we also have laws here where you can breastfeed in jail. If a mama is in jail and she has a baby, she can have her baby with her in prison or in jail and breastfeed. Oh. You can run around topless. It's completely legal in New York State. Like, there's all, they totally love it here in New York State. So this mom knew what her rights were, and she discreetly latched the baby, and the dentist said, whoa, I don't know what's going on here. And she pointed to the mama's chest. She's like, but I am not comfortable with this. And the mom said, this is within my legal right. I'm just, nursing my baby. I can legally do this. And they said, well, we'll find you another room to go in. I'm not comfortable with this. And she's like, but this is legal. Like, you can't do this to me. This is legal. And,
I'm not moving.
Right. And plus her 5-year-old is in the chair. So the dentist said, well, what about my rights? I have rights too. And she was like, she tried to explain it. Then she tried to call for somebody else to come in, a manager, whatever. And they were like, oh, wow, sorry. She's like, I'm just never going to come back here. And they're like, and she goes, and I'm going to put this out on social media. And they were like, whatever, nothing's going to happen to us. Whatever. We don't care. So she wrote a thing up on Facebook and put it out about how mortified she was. She did specifically say, and I've heard a lot of moms say this, that if it was her first baby, it would have destroyed her.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
She was, obviously her second baby, 9 months old, way more confident, and just knew that she was within her legal right, and right. So she puts it out on Facebook. She writes the story, puts it out, and it took off. Some of the big bloggers were posting it. Some of the big breastfeeding pages were posting it. It just got took off. People all over the place were like, "Oh my God, what city is this happening in?" Blah 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 blah. So one of the things about it is it was a female dentist. That was one of the hardest things to swallow with this. And, I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, all women should, because we know everybody's got their thing, but we're talking, it was a medical building with a female provider. And you would think of all the places to be where you should be the safest breastfeeding. Right. Should be a medical professional building with a female provider. So, it took off, and of course, we have a really, strong group of doulas here, a strong group of breastfeeding moms, and, they just went crazy. And we're going to have a nurse in and blah, blah, blah. This happened on a Saturday. So they started planning this nurse in for Monday. They got a hold of the news, then picked it up, got a hold of the owner of the clinic, who is out of town, who made statements on behalf of the dentist, and the mom didn't let us finish our, we were just going to tell her we would leave the room and she could breastfeed, and
Wait, who is speaking on behalf of
the owner of the clinic?
Oh, so not the dentist.
No.
The owner was speaking. Okay.
The owner was speaking. It took him a couple days to actually interview the dentist, and that was ridiculous.
He wasn't there, obviously.
Was not there. And said, oh, well, she was just gonna, the mom got so irate and so upset and started yelling, but, we were gonna tell her that we would leave, the dentist was gonna leave the room or whatever. And it's don't even. So, we had put it out on social media that there was going to be a nurse in. So they closed the office.
Oh my God, such cowards.
For 2 days. They closed the office. Because they were unsure of what kind of angry people were going to be coming there. So we closed the general office. So because
we bring our grenades when we do nursing.
So it was unbelievable. So of course the mamas are like, whatever, we'll wait till Wednesday. So they had to reopen eventually.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Oh, they waited. Yeah. Oh my God, that's awesome.
So they waited. So they went on Wednesday to nursing, and a friend of mine, who she's a doula. She's fantastic. I've mentioned her a bunch of times, not by name, but I have talked about her on the podcast. And she's the one that I always says, I want medical information from my pediatrician, not parenting information from my pediatrician.
Right.
She's just really, she's fun. So she was one of the organizers of this, and they were of course organizing it for 9:30 in the morning, and I had a patient at 10 at the pediatrician's office. Aww. But lucky for me, or maybe lucky not for me, the dentist's office was literally across the street from my office. I'm not, that's how close it was. Which it makes me so sad that it's I'm across the street seeing breastfeeding mothers, and I have women that are being chastised across the street for breastfeeding their baby. So I was able to go for a little while. And then like at 10 o'clock, I went across the street. So we were there, and, you know, like a lot of mamas were starting to come, and they did have they had a lot of moms that came to breastfeed at all ages of kids. And they were they had little kids holding up signs, and the news was there, you know, at certain points, and the newspaper came and all of this stuff. And they really just they weren't being nasty. They were just sitting out front and just kind of like, you know, whatever. If people came by and asked them what they were doing, they just kind of, you know, talked about it. But their big thing was, you know what, the medical world and society as a whole says breastfeeding is what mothers should be doing. But then a mother walks into a medical facility and this is what happens. Like, that's not okay. You know, We need more support. They interviewed the dentist. The news interviewed the dentist, I think, before they even interviewed the mother. And the dentist was like, I was just going to tell her that I would go in another room. But she was so irate that she threw her bag and her coat on the floor and stormed out. And I'm like, all right, let's try to envision this. Anybody who knows anything about breastfeeding knows that you cannot try and latch a 9-month-old and throw your coat and purse on the floor at the same time. Now, really, come on.
Yeah, right. That's ridiculous. You know what's even more ridiculous? Is that you harass somebody, you violate them in a way that they will never recover from, and then you tell them that their reaction was wrong.
Right.
That's insane.
And what I said to the mother when I talked to her, like we were messaging back and forth and stuff, and I said to her, I'm like, nothing should have been said. Nothing. Like, what? Why does anybody need to say they're uncomfortable or anybody? Nothing needs to be said. This is a legal thing. A woman is doing. She wasn't in the waiting area. She was in the private dental office with her child, and nobody else in there but her and the dentist. And it was really like, nobody needs to say anything. Just look away or make an excuse. Say, I need to go get something. Whatever.
Mind your own business.
Right. Why does it have to be? How about
you look into the child's mouth? You're a dentist. You have a child in your chair. You have a patient in your chair. Look in their mouth.
Right.
Do your job.
Instead of being cocky and saying, oh, well, you know what? It's not going to matter if you say anything to anybody because nothing's going to happen to us.
You know, that's the other thing. You hear about this enough, of course, because it happens all the time. And you know, there are some entities, you know, businesses, whatever it is, that just act like this. Oh, you know, they get all defensive and they just stand their ground and they've got nothing to stand on. They end up looking like complete idiots. When, you know what? This is actually a perfect opportunity. This is like a public relations situation. Like, this is an opportunity. This is a PR opportunity for you to be like, this was absolutely wrong. We support all families. You know, we support breastfeeding. We support families. But, you know, you can make this big statement and make, you know, everyone feel, yes, exactly. Then people will be like, oh my God, yay, what a great response. And they're going to handle it and blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, then you're golden.
Right. And
it's not that hard. Say you're sorry.
That's exactly what we were saying.
You did something wrong. Say you're sorry.
We were talking about that in our breastfeeding group, and we were like, all they had to say was, it happened. We're sorry. We're going to get training for our employees, like that. Because then ultimately they said, oh yeah, we're going to work on training and blah, blah. That's what they always say. We're like, yeah, show us some proof. But that's all they need to say is, we're sorry that this happened. But they're like, oh yeah, we apologize to the mom. And she was like, it wasn't sincere. Like, it was like, after it had to go out on social media all over that's when they said, oh yeah, we're sorry. We're so sorry. We really support breastfeeding, but we're going to close our office because we're afraid of the angry mob that's going to show up.
Now, see, that is just, all of that is just so unbelievable. Like, I've never even heard of that. Yeah. I mean, and I've been to plenty of nurse-ins. I've been involved in plenty of these incidents. You know, that's crazy.
I know.
That they closed the office to avoid this. Like, that's just like, how guilty do you feel?
It was ridiculous. They had to take down their Facebook page. Like, it was a whole...
Oh my God.
It was...
This is what I'm saying. Like, you have all this attention right now. Like...
Yeah. Do something positive
do
with
the
it.
right thing. Mm-hmm. Do the right thing.
Exactly. So it was just, but the poor, like when I talked to the mom, she was like, and this is kind of the insider stuff you never hear. Because of course, like the dental office was like, we're getting death threats and, you know, really? Are you getting death threats? Like, I don't know that I necessarily
give me a
that.
break.
Right. But she was, you know, this was going all over. This was all over the place. This went viral. So of course you've got tons and tons of supporters, but you also have a lot of people. You know how many comments I read that said something to the effect of, "Oh, these women are just trying to get money."
Yeah. Why didn't she just cover up, man?
You're just trying to get money. Or
trying to get money? How? How do you get money?
That's what we were talking about. We're like trying to get money. Like, there's money that comes along with this. Like, where's this money that we can get by, you know, by complaining,
by being harassed?
Right.
I didn't know I was getting paid for being harassed. That's right. Cool.
Somebody posted on one of the sites that I saw. Well, you know, I am all for breastfeeding and everything, but which obviously means you're really not. But the dentist, you know, what if the dentist was uncomfortable and they have like, if she was uncomfortable too, what about her rights? It's like, you know what? First of all, what kind of a world are we living in now where we can just walk up to somebody and say, you know what? I don't like how loud you're chewing. You need to leave here. Or, you know what? I don't like that you're wearing sandals. You need to leave now. Like, is this really what we're going to do with our... Is this really it? Well, is this what we've become?
Yeah, I know. That's what I've said that a million times. I've said, you know, this is when it comes when people are like, you know, I don't like to look at that. I don't like to look at your butt crack sticking out of your pants. I don't like to look at your feet. I think feet are disgusting. I don't like to stand next to your sweaty body when it's 100 degrees packed on a Chicago City bus. There's lots of things I don't like about this world. I don't have a right to say anything to any of these people.
Especially when it's legal.
They have a right to exist. Right. They have a right to exist how they want to exist.
Like, if this is going to become a situation or one of these worlds where if somebody says, oh, I can do this, and I say, you know what, but it's my legal right that you can, you know, that's not, or I'm not comfortable with it. I'm just not comfortable with it. So you're going to have to leave. Un-American.
Yeah.
Like, and then other people are saying things like, well, it's bullying that you're putting this out here. I understand that, you know, it was, and I actually read that on one of the comments. You're putting this out on social media. Really? Is this necessary for you to do? This is bullying.
Yeah. Again, with the whole like blaming the victim.
Exactly.
So she's harassed. She has a reaction and then she's blamed for the reaction instead of looking at what actually happened to her.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we do. We do this all the time in all kinds of different situations, but especially to women.
And quite honestly, you know what? Like, if somebody wants to see this bully, whatever, but she said to them, I am going to put this out there for people to know what you're like. And they said, we don't care. So how would it look if she left and never said anything? They could just do it to everybody.
Right.
She had to say something. She had to put something on social media.
Of course she did. Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, and like, good for her, because this is awful. So when I talked to her, she was like, oh my God, you know, like so many horrible comments, because that just digs into your soul. You know, like,
well, that's what I'm saying. She, you know, she had her second child. Yeah, she's a veteran breastfeeder, but I'm sorry, when this happens to you, something happens inside you that doesn't recover.
Mm-hmm.
That you are violated in a way that you will never take. Something is taken from you that you will never get back.
Right.
This is real. This is real stuff. This is real harassment. This is real trauma. This is she completely humiliated.
Mm-hmm.
She probably had a whole host of emotions that, you know,
awful.
Yeah, she was floored.
And plus, this is also happening in front of her other child.
In front of her child. That's so disgusting. It's so disgusting. That's right. That's right. And then now she's upset. And then her child, now her 5-year-old's like, well, what did she do wrong? I don't understand. She's doing the same thing
right.
I've been seeing since I was born.
It's unbelievable. And, so we do this nursing and, the moms are there. Like I said, the news came and they really, the statements they made were very, very, very just so like, we really just want people to understand that we need more support in our society. That's really was the basis of the whole thing. There was nothing like, we hate the dentist. It was more like, you know what? We need more support. We need more support for mothers. That's the bottom line. Right. And overall, it was, it was pretty good. It was fine. She said that there was one older man that got out of his car to go to the diner next door that was yelling things to them about how they're just trying to get their checks and they're just trying to get money.
Wow, I've never heard that. I do have to say that in all of these years of dealing with breastfeeding incidents, I've not heard the money one.
We were actually,
that's interesting.
I know, and we were laughing about that because we were sitting in a breastfeeding group on Monday, and we were laughing about it because we were like, we can get money from doing this. Should we just go out to different businesses all the time and like sit out front and like have these nurses? Can we really get what money are we getting from this? But just the idea. But even that in and of itself, obviously, is a huge, huge insult that women are out there doing this for some other means other than what we actually are doing it for. Like we are just trying to get one over and try to find a way to get money out of whatever organization is going to give money towards the breastfeeding. I don't even know. I don't even know where the logic is that comes with that, but that's where our society is right now.
Yeah. And to that point, we talk about how she had to say something, right? How she couldn't just not say anything.
Right.
Except we have to remember that this happens all the time. And most of the time, she says nothing.
Exactly. Yes.
Because she's afraid, she's embarrassed, she's totally humiliated, she's traumatized, and she doesn't say anything. Just like in all other kind of harassment incidents, with women.
Right.
Most of the time, we say nothing because we're scared.
Right.
And thank God that there's people who can in these situations say something because it helps other people then to speak up too.
Right. And honestly, like if it were me and I had my kid there in the dental chair and I'm trying to take care of a 9-month-old and that baby's fussy and I'm trying to nurse and the dentist is harassing, like, I don't know that I would have, I might've just packed up my stuff and left. Like, I don't know that I would have actually said anything. I would have been so
Most people
overwhelmed by that.
Leave crying. Yep.
Right. And just feeling so deflated.
Yep.
So another thing to kind of go along with this. So when this story came out, I was actually out to dinner with some doctor friends of mine and another good friend of mine who's a doula. And the group of us kind of will hang out every few months and go to dinner. And a couple of the doctors that were there that we're close with are family primary care and deal with moms and babies and families. And, a couple of them deliver babies and everything. So they are so on, like the other side of everything. So we were talking about this at dinner. And one of the primary care, first of all, one of the doctors was like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? We're going to have to go there and do something." Like he was so like fired up about it. But his wife, who's also a primary care doctor, she goes, "This is the third time this week I've had something like this happen." She goes, "I don't understand what's going on." She goes, "The first time this week I had a woman that I had prescribed an antidepressant to. She's 20 years old. She's been taking this antidepressant for a few years to get over a traumatic situation that happened in her life. And I prescribed it for her and the pharmacist refused to fill it because he said she was too young to be on that medication."
What?
And then...
But the doctor prescribed it.
Right. And then she said that there was a doctor or an intern, whatever, at a clinic that is a very popular clinic in Rochester who is refusing to prescribe birth control. Outright flat refusing. And has her attending do it instead because she won't do it. And it's like... Where am I?
This is a doctor?
Yeah. what is happening? And
why would you become a doctor if you don't want to help people? I don't understand.
Because it's infringing on what she feels is right. That is not her belief to use birth control.
It's not her damn business.
It's not. And when you become a doctor, isn't like the first thing like do no harm? Like, isn't that?
Yeah,
like,
you kind of give up your right to tell everybody what to do.
Right, you do what's in the best interest of the patient.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And I don't understand. Like, so we were talking about this at dinner, and those two other things came up, and my girlfriend, the doula, she was talking about how after she had her third baby, she wanted to get her tubes tied. She was mid-30s, had her third baby. Her pregnancies were always very, very rough. She had hyperemesis with all her pregnancies, and the third time was just horrific. And she went to the doctor and said, I want to, get my tubes tied. And he said, I'm not doing it. You're too young. And they have 3 daughters. And he proceeded to look over her at her husband and say, you never know. Maybe you'll want to have a boy. And she goes, I left there so deflated. I couldn't even believe that happened. I'm like,
it's, yeah. And I think it's really to the point that this is coming from medical professionals.
That's the thing.
The absolute disrespect, just degrading of humans. When your job is to help people.
Right. And this is not.
Instead, you insult and. Yeah.
This is by far like not every medical professional, obviously, but
of course not.
It's like
that's not the point.
No, but it is I can't even wrap my head around it. Like, even when I went to go get my tubes tied, I was 40, and my doctor was like, "Are you sure? It's so permanent." And I go, "I have 3 kids, and I'm 40, and my husband has 3 kids, and he's almost 50. We're good." Like, we have 6 kids between us, and we're, like, in our 40s. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm okay with the permanent.
And I don't need to explain myself to you.
Exactly.
I
am
paying you to do this. I've asked for this. I'm obviously within, the proper state of mind to make decisions about myself. I didn't ask for your opinion, and I don't need to explain myself to you.
Right. Oh, well, the research shows that women, if they get it done, it's so, that they regret it, blah, blah. Whatever.
What?
That's what, like, people spout out. Oh, but the research shows that, if you get it done, women get it done too early, they regret getting it done, and then they try to have it reversed, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know what?
Well, that'll be a bummer for me, won't it?
But it is the mother's choice. It is the woman's choice. I cannot even I can't do it with this bullshit of people like, oh, well, this is, I'm going to make the decision of what's going to happen with you. I'm going to decide where you can breastfeed your baby because it's my dental office and I'm uncomfortable. I don't care if it's legal. And then, of course, we had the people saying, oh, but so how would you like it if I urinated in public? Of course, we had that going around, too.
Of course. That's always around.
Yeah.
That's always around. Because breast milk and urine are the same thing.
And of course, it's legal to urinate in public wherever you want to, right? So
yes, right. So, yeah.
Wherever your penis is, you can urinate, I guess. I don't know. But it's just, oh, my God. So it was a couple weeks of really just...
That's intense. I know. Yeah. I mean, whenever it happens and people... I love to help as many people as I can. I wish I could help every single person that went through this. And I try. But it's always so infuriating because, I had one woman who was in, I think it was Texas, and she was at a restaurant and she was told to cover or to leave, and she proceeded to ask for the manager who then told her to cover or to leave. Totally humiliated, degraded, all of that. And then she took it to social media. I hooked up with her and they pressed charges on her.
Stop.
They did.
For what?
So of course she's freaking out. Well, so the thing is that it doesn't make any sense, right?
No.
Like press charges for what? So I don't think that it was ever really investigated. I don't think anything really ever came of that. It's so much time went by that I actually haven't talked to her in a while. I should check in with her, but it's really just kind of like they were just doing it to scare her. When again, this is a restaurant. They could have been like, we are so against what happened. And because of this incident, we want to show all the breastfeeding moms that we support them. You know, when you come into our restaurant this week, we're going to give you free coffee.
Right.
Like, hello, why don't you just support people since that's your business, right? People.
Right.
And, you know, make something good of it. Get some customers, like treat people. I don't understand.
You know, these blatant, just canned response of, oh, we support breastfeeding in our facility. People come and breastfeed here all the time. Really? Because then why did this happen? Right. If that's really what goes on in your facility, then this would have never happened. Right. And this person just happened to be the one to take it out further. And she did tell me that she wanted to lodge formal complaints against the American Dental Association and all that stuff. And I'm like, good for you. Good for you.
She should. Yeah, totally.
Because this is, in a medical in places where, you have some idiot who might not know better. But when you're in a medical professional place, this is crazy. And then when all of this happened, one of my former clients sent me a Facebook message, and she was like, thank you so much for, being part of the nursing and blah, blah, blah. She's like, I just want to let you know that, my baby was really, really sick at one point, and we had to go to the ED, and I was told I couldn't breastfeed there. And, was really given a hard time and all this stuff. And she's like, I did complain, and the people I complained to, the higher ups, were, really very apologetic. And it was like, this is the biggest hospital unit in our town. Are you kidding me? You can't go to and that's not the first time I've heard that about the emergency rooms either. I don't understand.
Oh, yeah.
I
mean, this stuff has happened in every single location that's ever existed. Mm-hmm. I mean, in places that would just blow your mind. In church.
Oh, yeah.
In doctor's offices and places that, you're like, why would this happen in this location?
Right.
But it does.
I have had moms ask me, I was in their homes. I mean, sometimes it's just in my office where it's just me and them and the door is closed. But there have also been times when I'm in their own home with them, and they'll be like, do you mind if I feed the baby now? Well, first of all...
And you're a lactation consultant. Right. It's not like you're like... That's why you're there. You're like, yeah, that would be great. So I can see the latch and, make sure everything's great. Because that's my job. That's why I'm here, right? You just invite me over for brownies.
And people are always like, well, I guess you're okay with this, right? Because you're lactation. It's like, it doesn't matter who I am.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, yeah.
It's like, but we are conditioned to apologize for our behavior.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, because we're conditioned to believe that we're doing something wrong all the time. Our bodies are dirty. Our breasts are just sexual. And anything else is just wrong. We're doing it wrong. Yeah,
that's unbelievable. And it's just...
So, we could go on and on about this.
Yeah, we could totally go on and on about it. We totally could. But, they talked about it at Tom's work because they were like, is Diane involved? Blah, blah, blah. My husband's work. And they were, talking about how ridiculous it was and stuff. And one of the guys he works with, his wife, and I are friends, and she's an amazing breastfeeding mom. Her son just turned a year, but she breastfed her first for until she got pregnant the next time or whatever. And, donates milk and is just so dedicated to pumping. She's just an amazing, her first baby didn't even latch for the first 2 months of his life. And she just kept trying. So she is a great, great role model for breastfeeding. And, Tom works with her husband, and he was like, I hope somebody says something to Courtney one of these days. Why? Just so she could take him out? What do you,
I know. That's what I've heard that a lot of people say that. They're like, I wish somebody would say something to me.
And it's
because after a while, you just get all these things up your sleeve. You're like, when can I use this?
I know it.
But you don't really want it to happen because it's horrible. It's really horrible.
It reminds you of how backwards it really is,
Mm-hmm.
And it really...
And how quickly, people really can, take your power.
Mm-hmm.
Just by words. or threats, things like that.
Especially when it's somebody who should be, an authoritative figure, and it's awful. It's an awful situation. And then everybody was just like, "Oh my gosh!" And it was a woman. Like that came out a lot. Right. Like that came out a lot. That people just could not believe that it was a woman who did that. Mm-hmm. And it's just adding salt to the wound, pretty much. But I don't know, whatever. So, so that was our spiel over the last couple weeks. So it was a lot of activity. And stuff like that is so overwhelming to me. And people were like, oh my God, like, what do you think? Do you know about, of course, everybody that I know is like sending me the link. Like I didn't know it happened or whatever, but it was so overwhelming that it's like, you don't even know where to jump in and say anything because there's so much going around out there. Yeah. It's crazy. So it is crazy. If this has ever happened to you, we are so sorry. It is like a horrible thing you have to go through. And we hope it never does happen to you. If it has not happened, we hope it never does.
Yeah. And if it does and you need help, I mean, as you can tell, there are so many people around who are ready to stand up.
Oh my gosh.
With you.
The breastfeeding
people
mamas,
will be with you. They really will.
They come out of the woodwork for that. They really do. Yeah. That is one thing that you will have that solidarity there for sure. I mean, those women stood outside in the cold for hours for this cause. And they only
we might not be able to remember to text you back or whatever, but if something happens, we're right there.
Yeah. So definitely, or you can always reach out to us too if you need that extra support.
Yes, and thank you for listening. And please share your experience with us in our review section on iTunes. And maybe you could be one of our reviews of the week. Woo-hoo. And also head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com for sponsor links, promo codes, and all of our other episodes. And you can also find us on YouTube now at Badass Breastfeeding Podcast.
Definitely find us on YouTube. Bye.
Yes, bye.